For decades now, Simmers have been telling stories within this game. You might have told those stories through family gameplay, generational legacy challenges, rotationally. I'm fairly sure you have probably built up quite a few Sims within your families. Today we're going to be specifically talking about The Sims 4 because it did just get a new update to the family tree. Previous to this update, family trees were an absolute hot mess, and unfortunately for those of you with like older and especially bigger save files, they might still be a hot mess. But today I'm going to show you how you can actually build an extended family. If you want to start out with a big family, if you want to start out with already having those connections, this is how you go about doing that. Obviously, if we go up here to the top left, we can choose to have Bob be the father and we can have Eliza be his mother. We're gonna do Bob's side first. I find the easiest way to do this is playing with genetics. Obviously, you don't need to do this. You can just like add a sim from the gallery. You can just add a new sim and then go in and change the familial relationships. But I just find it a little bit easier to have that family resemblance if I don't want to go and put loads of effort and energy into creating someone who like kind of looks like Bob but slightly older, for example, if we are making his father. So we're actually gonna go for his dad, and you can go back to edit relationships. We have son as Bob. Eliza is considered a household member within Create a Sim. Whilst they have added like relative in-law now to the family tree, you can't actually choose this within the household relationships within Create a Sim, which is a little bit unfortunate, but fear not, because that's going to come when we actually go into the game. And Iggy has already been added as a grandson. We're actually also gonna add a sibling for this man right here. She is added as our sister. If we actually go over to Bob, Eliza is still our spouse, Iggy's still our son, Bentley is our father, and you can see that the game has already put in that she is his aunt. And then we're also going to give Bob a sibling. So let's just choose sibling. We will go young adult for her. God, he really did say copy and paste with the genes. This is literally just Bob's face. To be fair, I did randomize his twin instead of just the sister. And then we're also gonna play with her genetics and add in a toddler as her child. So we have Isabella and Joelle. If we just go back to Bob, we go on his identity, edit relationships. You can see Joelle is his sister, and then Isabella is already existing as his niece. For this, I'm gonna do testing cheats on, and then also free real estate on, so that we can just purchase this big home over here. I kind of want all of them living in like one condensed little area. As Taylor Swift said, got the whole block looking like you. The whole block is about to be looking like the pancakes. A quick point to know is now that they've moved in and they're all like living together, their relationships are the defaults. So we are pretty much friends with everyone that you choose to live with that you are related to. Real quickly, if we show Bob's family tree, you can see everything we've got going on here. We got his sister Joelle, he is married, and obviously they have the son Iggy together. Then we have his dad and also his aunt Rochelle, whereas if we go on Iggy, she is actually referred to as our grand aunt because that is our grandfather's sister, so she's our great aunt, basically. Then we have his aunt Joelle and his cousin Isabella. His great grandparent is currently unknown because I didn't actually add in Bentley's parents, but you can actually go to great grandparent and then beyond. I think great grandparent is the highest you can go before it actually just starts referring to them as like ancestors or relatives. However, now I actually want to move these out. I want to have them live in separate houses. houses. So I'm gonna have Bentley and then Bob's sister Joelle and Bentley's sister Rochelle. Sorry, I just realized how similar their names are. They're all gonna live together, but we're gonna move out Iggy and the pancakes into their original house. So we're gonna hop into manage worlds. I'm not gonna save this time around. If you always want to be on the safe side, you don't want to mess anything up, I would always choose to save, but I pretty much know what I'm doing, and hopefully after you've watched this video, you will also feel confident and know what you're doing. Now we're just gonna evict like the regular pancakes. We're gonna have them move out of their home, and if we go to our pancakes and then go to more, you can actually go into manage households, and we're gonna transfer Sims between households. We could have also done this in live mode. We could have gone onto the phone and we could have had Bob or Eliza choose to move out, and this would still bring you to this screen. First off, you're going to want to select create a new household, or if you want to put them into like another family, you obviously can do that. For example, if I wanted them to live with the enchanted lovers, I could choose to do that. But for now, we're going to go to my households, create a new household. And then we want Bob, we want Eliza, and we want Iggy. We are going to transfer those Sims, and we're going to take about 20,000 over with us. Then if we go to manage households, we obviously can see the new pancakes, and then we are going to choose to move household into a lot. Again, I'm going to put free real estate on just so they can actually buy the house that they do officially live in. We are going to go for furnished, and now they are living here. But what if you also want to extend Eliza's side? What I like to do is on this screen, obviously Control-Shift-C. That's how I've been putting in cheats. I like to do cas.full edit mode. Again, you could go into live mode, shift click on Eliza and hop into create a sim and add sims that way, but I do find it easy to do through manage worlds as well. So you just go down here to more. Once you've clicked on the household, go to manage household, and then you can edit, add or remove sims from the household in create a sim. Now let's play with Eliza's genetics. We're gonna say that Eliza is a triplet, so we've made her sister. Let's also make her a brother. Again, her sister is gonna have 2 children. This family looks like a hot mess thanks to their outfits. If we go to their relationships, again, we've got their uncle Cody. Corey is her brother. Her mother is Elizabeth. Eliza is her aunt, which again makes Iggy their cousin. Bob is currently referred to as household member. You can do this up until you have 8 sims, so you can only work within the 8 sim boundary. Let's say these 2 are in fact married, but I maybe want her to be a step parent to both Corey and Rain. So we're gonna keep those 2 as household members. Obviously her brother is also a household member, as is everyone else. From here I could transfer sims between the household. However, that would mean that all of the pancakes wouldn't really know Bob. Like they wouldn't have a connection to him, even though they're currently living with him. Because I haven't gone into their household, their relationships aren't going to stand. So I'm actually gonna choose play, just so I know that the relationships are like all set up. Again, you could use cheats. I have a full video going over cheats needed to change relationships in the game. If you did want to make anyone an enemy, maybe her sister didn't like approve of Bob for Eliza, so they don't really get on well. If we go to Bob's relationships, you can see that we pretty much now have a friendship again with everyone who is currently living with us. I actually do have UI cheats, and I kind of like that as a storyline, so we're gonna go -45. If we go back to his Simology, obviously his family tree is the same, but then if we click on Eliza's family tree, you can see we got her nephew and her niece. Oh, I just realized that we have Eliza and Elizabeth. And they're apparently meant to be triplets. I forgot that Eliza can be short for Elizabeth. Just to make this even more confusing for you all, she is married to Yvette. So Yvette is her sister-in-law, and then we have the brother Cody. This is actually a new feature. So we've clicked on Yvette over here. If we go to her kids, they are actually referred to as stepson and stepdaughter. This never officially appeared on the family tree, but it does now. Because Elizabeth and Bob don't see eye to eye, I want to split this household. So through the phone, you go to travel and then you go on split from household and move. Elizabeth is by herself right now, but we don't want to move out without her family. So we're going to take the kids and obviously our wife. We're going to have her own about 12,000 of the pancakes funds. I don't want the brother living with them, however, so we're just going to take these four. Once you confirm that, it takes you back to basically the manage households. Like I said, the only reason that I did the extra step of actually going into live mode in that household was so all of the relationships, like they could be friendly, or if you have UI cheats, you could like play around with the storylines. We're gonna have these move to Parkshore. One thing I could do in this household is turn on testing cheats on, put in again cas.full edit mode, and then I can actually hit shift on my keyboard. I can go to modify and create a sim. We're gonna say that this random man is actually the father of her kids. So we are gonna say daughter for Rain, son for Corey. We still have household member on both of these two. You again can't choose like ex-partner, ex-spouse, divorced, anything like that within create a sim. Who knows? Maybe they weren't even married by the time that they had kids. If we go to Rain or Corey's family tree, you can see that Russ is listed as their father. Kind of annoyingly, it doesn't say stepmother still for Yvette, in the sense that like it doesn't show Yvette, which I guess like biologically through the family tree does make sense, but I kind of wish that it had like a little nod, or it said like married to Yvette Oswald stepmother, for example, something of that nature. But if we actually click on Yvette, you can still see that these two are referred to as stepson and stepdaughter. That is pretty much exactly the same actually in the relationship panel. If we open their profile, he is referred to as her stepson. Quick little note as well, after the update, if these two actually got divorced, the stepson and stepdaughter would fade. Like they would no longer be referred to as her stepkids. But it's also kind of helpful. For example, if we did want to change the relationships at all, I can't remember for the life of me what any of these sims were called, but say that Elizabeth was actually quite good friends with Bentley Pancakes. If we click on Elizabeth and then Control Shift C, testing cheats on, just to make sure that that is still enabled, and then we are gonna modify relationship. Obviously we have Elizabeth, not Pancakes. You are, I guess you shouldn't be Pancakes. I should have definitely changed your name, considering you're not related to Bob. That is absolutely my bad. I didn't even think about changing their names. I want them to be pretty good friends, so we're gonna do 60, and then we need to do LTR underscore friendship underscore main. And then if we hit enter, that hopefully should have worked. Yes, she is friends with Bentley Pancakes. Again, if I wanted to do that for Bob's sister or whoever over on Bob's side, I could. It used to be changes you made through that cheat would only affect one sim. Now it affects both of the sims, so he already knows Elizabeth and he can invite her over to the current lot. I do think still, if you do it all through this cheat, you're gonna have to kind of invite them over, because even if you do like LTR romance main, they won't have like had their first kiss or anything. They won't even technically know each other. So right now we are actually gonna have to give her a friendly introduction, even though technically in our relationship panel they are already friends and technically should have already met. Just one quick note, I do feel like there's a little bit of weirdness when it comes to the family trees, and I don't really know why this is the case. Maybe it's just not me like understanding family trees. Maybe they just did it so it's not like as clogged up. But as you can see here right now, we obviously have the Eliza's side unknown grandparent because we didn't make Eliza's parents whatsoever. So they're on the same level because that's like one solid generation. That's like the same age, obviously, in like the grandparents. But then underneath, it looks like Russ is connected to Bentley. Whereas if you actually click on Bentley, that is not the case. But from Iggy's perspective, it kind of looks like he's also like the son of Bentley. And then also that Isabella is Russ's daughter, because it looks like that's lined up. But then again, if you click on her mother isn't showing in Iggy's, like his aunt isn't showing. It's randomly decided to show Russ Temple. I don't really understand why that is the case. It feels a little bit weird. And Russ is just Russ. Russ doesn't have like a connection to Iggy whatsoever. Like, I don't know why it would choose Russ to be on here instead of his literal Aunt Joelle. You can do this for as big or as little as you want. If you wanted to go back in and add more to like Bob's side, maybe you wanted to add like a cousin to Bob's side, you could again give his grandfather another sibling and maybe they had kids and then they would be Bob's cousins. Dimitri is Bentley's brother. He is married to Ava and then they had a son together, Brendan. Brendan then also has a little girl called Alicia. Let's see how that's changed the pancake side. Brendan is referred to as Bentley's nephew and then his daughter is referred to as his grandniece. If we go to Iggy, we can actually see that Alyssa is referred to as a distant relative because Brendan is Bob's cousin. So he's referred to as parents' cousin. If we click on Bob, you can see that that cousin dynamic is there and that she is his cousin's child. So they don't do like second, third cousin. They kind of just refer to them as how they're related to your cousin. Weird. It looks like he is somehow connected to like Eliza's family tree for some reason. Bizarre. Then Dimitri is Iggy's grand uncle, just like his grand aunt. She is distant relative-in-law. Not even grand aunt-in-law? That's a little bit mean. He said, meh, I don't care about Ava. Just to reiterate myself, sorry, I know I said it, but because these weren't actually in like Bob's household, they obviously got added to Bentley's household. Their relationships, they don't actually know Bob. Even though he is like his grand uncle, he doesn't know Bob because he's not been in contact with him. Whereas he does know Joelle and Isabella, even though they're in like the same dynamic as Bob is to Dimitri, because they live in the same household. So that's where the automatic like households start to kick in. You're either gonna have to use a cheat or you're gonna have to invite everyone over for like a dinner or something to have them introduce themselves. If you're playing this all through gameplay, it can get a little bit wonky, but as long as you keep on top of it and you know what to expect, you should be good. And then if you wanted to, you could take it even further. You could start adding ghosts now that we have ghosts available to create in Create a Sim. You do have to stick to the 8 household limit, so right now we'd probably have to move Dimitri, Ava, Brendan and Alyssa out, put them in another house elsewhere. Again, you could split their household into 2 if you wanted Brendan and Alicia to live away from his parents. You really could have the whole ass world looking like you, not even just your neighborhood. In this latest update, they did also add in a new setting. So if we go to game options and then gameplay, this is turned off by default for all new saves. So unfortunately, you're gonna have to turn this on every single time, but we have show adopted Sims. We're gonna adopt Davis. Here you can see Davis. It does say son, but it also has the adopted label. Now, I'm fairly sure if we went back into game options, gameplay, and we actually turn off show adopted Sims, if we go to his family tree, then it actually just says son. So if you would rather it just say son, that is an option. That is why it's like kind of turned off by default. If you have parenthood, you've always been able to adopt a child as a care dependent, which means that you are like able to look after them. But with the introduction of growing together, you are also able to adopt children. Now, Alicia is Brendan's biological child, whereas Brendan is engaged currently to Zachary. I want to see if one, this is going to replace him as her biological father, considering that's what it used to do when Growing Together first came out. I don't know if that was maybe fixed, but if we go on relationship, change relationship, we can say adopt Alicia. This sim is a masterpiece. Oh my god, that's so cute. It's official. Alicia has been adopted into the Quick family. Welcome, Alicia. And very quickly, let's go on Alicia's simology. Thankfully, he has not replaced. It doesn't have anything to do with her adoption on her side of it. So obviously she's just Alicia. Her father is Zachary. Her father is Brendan. But if we go to Zachary, because I turned the adoption note back on, in options, it does say daughter adopted. Oh, weirdly, it also says Alicia daughter adopted for him, even though he is technically like her biological parent. Personally, I probably would play with that off. I hope that was easy to understand. I know that there's a lot more labels now. I'm glad that there are officially a lot more labels within the game. I'm glad that you can play around with these things and it is all shown in the family tree, even if sometimes I am second guessing the family tree and I'm like, why does that look connected when really it like shouldn't be? I think it's because they're trying to do that like linear fashion of like the generations making sense in lines rather than it just being like one whole mess. But it definitely makes it confusing if you're just like briefly glancing at it and you're not really questioning what you're seeing. But definitely let me know if this video was helpful. Let me know if you have any other questions or if you would just like me to run through any other like tutorials, how to go about certain things in the game. Way back when, I used to do a series on my channel called Tips Tuesday, where I basically just gave tutorials for things that you could do in your game. I know that these are super helpful for you to come back to, whether you started playing The Sims yesterday or if you've been playing for like the last 10 years and you just kind of forgot that you could do all of this stuff. So definitely let me know if there's any other kind of topics that you would want me to explore in a video like this. I appreciate you all so much for tuning in and I will speak to you all in my next one. Bye now.